On the show this week, we're telling you about Golgappas and how it has led to a shocking medical problem of our jaws getting locked. Also on the show, AI is now your first doctor with OpenAI introducing ChatGPT Health. Also on the show, we're telling you about designer babies and the problems associated with gene editing when it is done for aesthetics. Watch the show with me, Sneha Mordani, at these times only on India Today Television. Hello and welcome to a world where science, technology and health collide. From a single bite of a Golgappa that locked a woman's jaw to AI chatbots that can guide your health before you see a doctor. From the ethical dilemmas of designer babies to nutritional rules being turned upside down with a flipped food pyramid. This week we take you to the front lines of the future, where every choice, every discovery and every bite could change your life. I'm Sneha Mordani. This is Health 360. Healthcare is changing, and your first medical conversation may no longer start in a clinic. With OpenAI's health-focused ChatGPT, people around the world are turning to AI for symptom guidance, for health education and clarity before they even see a doctor. It doesn't really replace medical professionals, but it's becoming a powerful first step in understanding your health, asking the right questions and making informed choices. Okay, I'm going to help you. You can take any OTC painkiller. You don't have to really check with the doctor. For the first time in history, millions of people can ask this or this for medical advice. No waiting lines, no appointments, no jhamela of queues, waiting for the doctor to come in and help you with your medical problem. With OpenAI's introduction of the new feature ChatGPT Health, getting answers to your frequently asked medical problems or questions is getting easier actually. More customized, more personalized and more convincing. And that's where things really get complicated. Let's ask the doctors on what they have to say about AI convincing patients on what they have to do for their health.
AI is intended to give confident answers. The second reason majorly is convenience. It is that whatever is available in your pocket, whatever is available in front of you, that is always, much more readily available than, let us say, a doctor's advice.
AI has already changed the way we get access to health information. AI can summarize your medical scans, give you health advice, tell you about what medicines to take. It can be extremely convincing. For many, this makes people believe that they are getting reliable information. Because for many across the world, healthcare systems are broken. So getting in their information from artificial intelligence is actually easier, sometimes even empowering. But is that really the case? Remember, health is not just about giving out information. It is about judgment, It is about nuance. And that's where the role of a human, of a real doctor comes in, isn't it, doctor?
Typically, AI is just responding to a prompt, which is written by someone who's just faced with a problem and using their own language. Now, AI inherently is not trained or even designed to work like a doctor. So there is a context that the answers that it gives many times are inaccurate. It looks at the internet presence of things as its repository of knowledge. And of course, it is known to hallucinate. There are other dimensions which are, it can just cook up answers sometimes.
Those who in fact use AI do not take that with a pinch of salt, as they should really. Healthcare is also one of the world's largest data markets. In India, this market is actually exploding. It's worth $500 billion already. And that's where there are concerns that have been raised as far as privacy and cybersecurity is concerned. The minute you feed data, all the data into your system, where does your privacy then really stand?
So imagine if thousands of citizens are uploading their personal health data on ChatGPT, which very well knows it might get leaked, it might get monetized by the private company. We must realize that this is an irreversible disaster. That more tech you deploy in health, telecom, and tech, you will not be able to do away with it.
People actually already struggle to tell the difference between online misinformation and advice that is given. Random advice which is picked up online. AI raises the stakes here. Remember, the most commonly asked questions as far as AI is concerned has got to do with your diet, with your mental health, and all of these things need nuance, need judgment. These things, even self-diagnosis, is what people are really asking AI about, and the fallout for it is for us to see. Healthcare has rules, ethical boundaries, licenses. Where does artificial intelligence then stand? AI can actually be a powerful companion only if you use it as a tool, not as a complete guide. AI can explain health, but not live with the consequences. That part is still human. Let's consider some figures. More than 40 million people worldwide are asking about their health conditions, discussing their health with ChatGPT. Over 200 million people all over the world at least once a week consult their AI doctors. What may sound reasonable could actually be harming you in the longer run because that information and the answer lacks context, something that a human can quickly catch. Science is no longer just curing disease. It is starting to shape human life even before birth. With advances in genetic engineering and DNA selection, the idea of designer babies has moved from sci-fi to real-world debate. From preventing inherited illnesses to choosing physical and intellectual traits. The question is no longer, can we, but should we? Imagine a world where parents can choose their child's eye color, intelligence level, or even athletic ability before the baby is born. This idea, once limited to science fiction, is now becoming scientifically possible through genetic technologies. Welcome to the world of designer babies.
Designer babies are actually the child in which we are changing genetics or we are selecting the genetics deliberately. So those genetics can be related to some disease, those can be related to some traits, physical traits like height, eye color, or skin color, hair color. So whenever we are deciding or we are changing the genetic or we are selecting from any particular genetic embryos we have, then we call it as a designer baby.
So, what can technology do? It addresses two areas: medical traits such as removing genes that cause inherited diseases like cystic fibrosis or Huntington's disease, enhancement traits such as physical appearance, intelligence, height, or athletic abilities.
We can eliminate almost all the major diseases if you have a genetic disease in your family, like any mental retardation, any developmental anomaly, which has been found out to be genetic. If a gene has been identified for that, it can be cystic fibrosis, many unknown diseases as well, where a gene has been identified, and then you can choose your embryo in which that gene is not there, or the genetic composition of that embryo is normal. So there is a whole list of diseases which can be prevented. Whatever major diseases are there for which a genetic mutation exists and is well known, it can be prevented.
So, how are designer babies then created?
In IVF nowadays, everybody is familiar of these terms like IVF, test tube baby. So I want to make it simplify. First of all, we stimulate a female partner of the couple and we retrieve eggs. That is done under anesthesia. It's not a without any incision. We take out eggs from the ovaries and then we examine them for whether they are healthy or unhealthy. Then these eggs, they are examined and screened, and then we inject them with their partner's sperm. And when the baby is formed, they are cultured outside for till day 5. That was called as the day blastocyst. And we take out some 5 to 6 cells from them, because blastocyst is a structure with 120 to 150 cells. And we take out only 5 to 6 cells and send them to genetic lab for their testing.
The main use of designer babies today is medical. By selecting or editing embryos, doctors can reduce the risk of inherited genetic disorders such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. Remember, a few months ago, the same technology was used to create 8 embryos. 8 children were born in the UK using genetic material from 3 people to prevent devastating and often fatal conditions, in this case, mitochondrial disease. The problem arises when parents seek to turn kids into products rather than individuals. Like when you want a baby like this, when parents choose traits, they may begin to view the child as something to be perfected rather than accepted. This undermines the unconditional love that should define parenting. The problem arises when parents want their babies to look like this, absolutely perfect. The perfect hair, fair skin, rosebud lips, light colored eyes. When parents want their babies to be absolutely perfect like this and want to use genetic editing for this purpose, for aesthetic reasons, it raises ethical and moral questions. Imperfection is part of what makes us human. By eliminating traits deemed undesirable, society risks sending the message that some lives are more valuable than others. It's time for a quick commercial break here on the show. Much more news around health and wellness on the other side.
Karnataka continues to strengthen its position as India's premier investment destination, offering a streamlined, investor-friendly environment. The state's single-window system, revamped under CM Siddaramaiah, simplifies approvals and reduces compliance barriers, making business setup faster and easier. The new industrial policy introduced by Deputy CM D.K. Shivkumar emphasizes sustainability, innovation and inclusive growth, creating an ecosystem where business and communities thrive together. Karnataka's strategic focus on aerospace and defense, electronics design, electric mobility and green energy drives cluster development, fosters R&D and encourages global partnerships.
Our thriving ecosystem is strengthened by 1,500 plus venture capital and corporate venture funds, 17,000 plus angel investors, 400 research and development centers, over 100 chip design houses. The robust foundation reflects our commitment to reimagining growth.
With Industrial Policy 2025-2030, the state targets Rs 7.5 lakh crore in investments and 20 lakh jobs, reinforced by sector-specific incentives and the enhanced single-window system, reflecting Karnataka's tech-driven, green, inclusive and resilient vision, inviting global investors to join its growth story.
To me, development delayed is development denied, and we have to change this.
We know the energy demand is going to double by 2050. We don't know how we're going to supply that demand.
Those countries that will continue to innovate will have a competitive advantage.
They want the data input and the models that they can manage and they can trust.
स्पेशल पार्टनर LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
What if everything you knew about healthy eating was backwards? The classic food pyramid, long held as the gold standard for nutrition, is now being challenged. Sugars and processed foods are being pushed down. Healthy fats and proteins are moving to the top, replacing carbs. This flipped pyramid promises to change how we eat, think, and fuel our bodies every single day. Here's more. For decades, the food pyramid shaped how we eat. It influenced what families cooked at home, what children learned in school, and what was served in hospitals across the country. But nutrition science doesn't stand still. And now the food pyramid has changed, and that too dramatically. The US Health Department has officially reworked the model, and according to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the update wasn't optional, it was necessary. The new food pyramid flips the old one right on its head. Instead of grains forming the foundation as it did before, the inverted pyramid, as we see it right now, places protein, healthy fats, dairy, fruits and vegetables right at the top, representing the foods that should make up most of our diet. Foods to be eaten sparingly now sit at the bottom. This change matters especially because for many students, the food pyramid is one of the first nutrition lessons they learn as early as 4th grade. Why was this necessary then, this change? The original food pyramid, remember, introduced in the late 20th century, placed bread, rice, cereal and pasta at the base. People were encouraged to eat large amounts of carbohydrates, while fats and sweets were pushed to the top and labeled as foods to avoid. But over time, problems emerged. Rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease climbed up. Researchers began to question whether the old pyramid focused too much on quantity and not enough on the food quality. It wasn't just the graphic that was flawed. The hierarchy itself needed a bit of a rethink here. Grains, once the foundation of every meal, have now been reduced to the smallest portion in your plate. Ideally, of course. In their place, protein, dairy, healthy fats, fruits and vegetables dominate this new pyramid. So why were carbs really emphasized on back then? Well, at that time, carbohydrates are viewed as an efficient energy source, especially in a world recovering from food shortages and economic instability. But that context no longer reflects modern lifestyles. A broader definition of health, one of the most noticeable updates is the addition of physical activity as a foundational element. This reflects a major shift in thinking. Health isn't just about what we eat, it also is about how we move. Daily activity is now considered essential to overall well-being. Another major change is the focus on whole foods. Whole grains, fruits and vegetables are prioritized over refined carbohydrates. Foods like brown rice and whole wheat bread provide fiber and sustained energy, while fruits and vegetables deliver essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Now, rethinking fats, perhaps the most controversial shift is how fats are treated. Instead of avoiding fats altogether, making them the big villain right out there, the new pyramid distinguishes between healthy and unhealthy fats. Olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fish are encouraged for their heart and brain benefits. Trans fats and excessive processed fats are discouraged. But fat itself is no longer the enemy. And that really is my favorite change. The old approach was about highly processed foods, added sugars, refined carbs, and chemical additives were actually allowed in moderation. That you can consume some amount of it. But the new approach is a little drastic. It's a strong push, a much needed one, to reduce ultra-processed foods, added sugars and refined carbs altogether. The emphasis is now on real, minimally processed foods. For years, critics argue that fat was unfairly vilified while sugar was quietly protected, and I completely agree with that negative campaign. That era is thankfully ending. Dairy and protein take center stage here. Previously, low-fat or skim dairy was recommended, while full-fat options were discouraged. Now, cheese and other dairy products sit at the top of the pyramid, with full-fat milk approved for both general diets and school meals. Protein and dairy, especially full-fat dairy, now dominate the food pyramid, replacing the grain-heavy base of the past. Saturated fats are no longer demonized. They're considered healthy when consumed in moderation. This marks the end of the long-standing campaign against healthy fats. The bigger picture, the updated food guide also promotes hydration, mindful eating, regular physical activity. The pyramid isn't just a change in shape, it's really changed the philosophy and the way we look at food. One moment, one bite. What started as a simple love for Golgappa turned into a medical shock no one saw coming. A Pakistani woman took a single bite of her favorite street snack, and that one mouthful left her with a locked jaw. Years of discomfort and the possibility of surgery. Something similar also happened in India. This is the story of how a harmless snack became a lifelong problem. We're telling you about a rare yet serious complication associated with jaws getting locked. Here's more. What has health or Health 360 got to do with Golgappas? So while we were researching for our stories really, we came across something that we found interesting and confusing for a second actually, because it had a connection with Golgappa. So we decided to have a cheat day today and also tell you about this rather uncommon medical problem. Uncommon but serious nevertheless. First, the cheat day. Well, a simple act of enjoying Golgappas has put some people into trouble. It's got less to do with Golgappas, but more to do with this rare occurrence of your jaw getting locked once you open it wide to put the pani puri, the Golgappa, in your mouth. What really is this then? Doctors answer these questions.
We are listening to the story about the lady who's tried to swallow Golgappas and because of which she had terrible jaw-related problems. So let me tell you that yes, though a bit of an exaggeration, it is possible. It is known to happen. And let me explain this phenomenon to you. It is called a dislocation of the temporomandibular joint, also loosely called a jaw dislocation. This happens if you open the mouth very widely and if your ligaments are slightly loose, and in that moment, the jaw will dislocate.
So how can doing something as simple as this lead to jaw dislocation?
Why something simple like this can lead to a jaw dislocation is because of the anatomy of the joint. This is a hinge joint. If you understand the way our jaw is made, it's a very complex and a very beautiful joint. It serves a very important function of making us grind and chew our food. It is unfortunate, it is rare, but it is known to happen.
What should a person do right away if that happens?
The process of opening up this jaw dislocation or locked jaw is by taking your thumb, maybe protect your thumb with a gauze or a handkerchief, put it inside the person's mouth, and then yank the mouth down and then push it back. So when you pull it down and push it back, the joint that has got dislocated will come back to its original position. There is usually a very satisfying click that you hear when the joint goes back into position, and the person feels better and safer after that. Be sure to put a restraining bandage for some time so that the jaw does not dislocate again, because the ligaments and muscles have become a little loose. If you cannot do it yourself, you must rush to an emergency. It is a simple procedure. Doctors in emergency are trained to handle this.
Doctors say jaw dislocation while eating Golgappas is extremely rare. It can happen in other cases also if you open your mouth extremely wide. As long as you don't force your mouth wider than usual, you should be okay. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Health 360. We hope you enjoyed watching the show as much as we did, putting it together for you. All our reports are going up on our website, that is indiatoday.in. Also on India Today's social media handles, that's X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Our hashtag is Health360, Health360 Plus. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Until next time, take very good care of yourself. Thank you for watching.